Today we are talking about something that doesn't get discussed enough. It is co-parenting with a narcissist. This can not only feel like it's challenging, but sometimes it can feel like it's downright impossible. We are going to talk about the truth about co-parenting with a narcissist and how they sometimes take your boundaries, blow past them, how they sometimes take the truth and twist the narrative to suit their own needs, and how they can use your children as weapons to advance their narcissistic views and to try to turn them against you. These are all very real. And if you are co-parenting with a narcissist, I'm sure that you have many, many stories, many, many examples of the ways that narcissists use your children against you. So let's get into it. Let's talk about ways that a narcissistic parent might not necessarily co-parent in a healthy and productive way, and how using the usual, let's put the best interests of the kids first, that might work in healthy dynamics, but it's not necessarily going to work here. So let's talk about ways that they're going to twist the narrative and make it seem like they're the best person in the room. And let's talk about some techniques so that you can keep your sanity and you can be the best parent that you can be and create a productive future for you and your children. Let's break down some myths that no one's probably told you. So number one, you need to put the kids first. This is all about the kids. So put the kids' needs first and forget about the narcissistic ex's behavior, way that they're treating you, the way they're degrading you, the way they're using the children against you. Just forget about that. Take that and put that aside, because you need to focus on the best interests of your kids. But here's what no one's going to tell you, is that narcissists, a true narcissist, is going to use that and weaponize it against you, because they know that you are going to do everything you can to put the children first, and you are going to swallow all of the poison that they're spitting at you. You are going to endure all of their atrocious behavior in order for you to seem like the better parent, because you're putting the children first. A narcissist will take that thought process and your care and concern about the children, and they will manipulate it and they will twist it against you. They will take it to mean, 1, that you don't stand up for yourself. 2, that you don't set boundaries for yourself. Or 3, they see this as, don't challenge me. I'm a good parent. You're the bad parent. When you try to compromise, they take advantage. When you try to create any consistency, they sabotage it. And when you finally draw the line, you're the one who's accused of being difficult and being uncooperative. And while of course you want to do everything you can for your kids to ensure that they have a safe and stable environment, and you certainly are going to be doing that, what you don't need to do is do that in lieu of or at the expense of your own sanity, your own safety, by letting somebody else step over you, by letting someone else completely blow past your boundaries. The bottom line is, you can prioritize your children and their needs without falling into the chaos that is the narcissist. Let's talk about why traditional co-parenting often does not work with a narcissist. Co-parenting assumes some level of cooperation between you and your ex, between your household and their household, with rules, with expectations, with chores, with homework, with school, with extracurricular activities. There's some type of cooperation that's going on between you and your ex. If you are co-parenting with a narcissist, that cooperation is absolutely going to be used to be weaponized against you. So true cooperation is nearly impossible with a narcissist. Without shared values or open communication or any type of willingness to compromise, how are you going to truly co-parent? If your ex is high conflict or is a narcissist, this can feel downright impossible. Because trying to co-parent with a narcissist feels like you're building a house when they just keep burning down the foundation. They keep burning the blueprint. Every time you've built up a little bit, they burn it down to the ground. How is it that you're supposed to truly co-parent and do the best for your children when you're working with that? Some of the big failure points that I see are, number 1, they refuse to follow schedules. Narcissists love to create their own narrative about how schedules work, or about how you misinterpreted the schedule, or my schedule works better, but they refuse to follow the actual schedule. Number 2, they rewrite history. A narcissist loves to make the story and the narrative about them. They are always the hero, or they are always the victim. And no matter what actually happened in the past, no matter what was actually said, or how it is that the situation unfolded, they're always going to somehow blame you. And number 3, They use the children as either messengers or spies, or they plant little ideas in your kid's head that seem like, oh no, I just mentioned in passing that you have a new boyfriend. I just mentioned in passing that you're not going to let the kids come here this weekend. They love to take the narrative about their children and make it seem like they're doing everything for them. Meanwhile, they're planting little seeds in the children's mind. They are making sure that the children go back and tell you, oh, you know what happened over there at Dad's house? It is absolutely unworkable in those situations. What might work for you? A shift. Let's talk about the shift. Maybe you need to think about parallel parenting and not co-parenting. Parallel parenting is a structured, low contact model of parenting that basically tries to minimize any direct interaction that you're going to have with the narcissistic ex. You both respectively have your time with your children, and you are going to parent your children one way, and the narcissistic ex is going to parent the children a completely different way. There's no cooperation. There's no talking about, well, this weekend, this is what Jack and Jill have going on. Let's figure out a schedule where you can go pick them up. I will drop them off. I'll bring the gift. None of that will happen. It is your weekend, so you know that you are going to be in charge of everything regarding Jack and Jill and that party. The same thing with the narcissistic ex. They're going to be in charge of everything with the children when they're in their house, when there's any scheduling that's on their time, and it's not necessarily going to be based on any level of communication or any level of cooperation. And I do suggest, if you're going to be doing parallel parenting, you have very strict guidelines, whether it's in your parenting plan or it's written in a co-parenting app. You have everything written out. There is no room for interpretation, and there is no room for the narcissistic ex to turn around and say, you never told me that. I didn't know that. I didn't get to pick the kids up because you never told me. You're going to have to face the fact that there might be times when you're going to have to parent this narcissistic ex, because you're going to have to give them information that they need about the children, because they will certainly pretend and play that they didn't know. And trust me, the narcissistic ex is going to use that against you. Some of the benefits of parallel parenting, and they really are benefits only if you cannot cooperate. I just have to stress that again, because cooperation obviously is the number one choice. If you can't, here are some of the benefits of parallel parenting. It's going to reduce the conflict and exposure for your kids. Your children do not need to see the two of you fighting. Fighting and animosity and those underlying feelings of resentment, those are going to come out the more you have to see your ex. Try to limit the contact, and that's going to make your kids feel a lot better about the two of you being in the same space, or the two of you not being in the same space. They don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, what's going to happen when my parents get together in the same room. Number two, it gives you space to heal. When you're thinking about trying to get away from this narcissistic person, even though you're still going to have to parent together, they're still going to be the parent of your children, what it comes down to is you need to heal for yourself. If you don't have a little bit of that space, and you're not allowed and afforded the time and space to heal from them, you're never going to be the best person you can be, and you're never going to be the best parent you can be. And it can stop the drain of those constant battles. The emotional drain that you go through when you have a fight with a narcissist. I know that you know what this is. I'm speaking directly to you because I know that when you're fighting with them, they hear none of it. It's an emotionally draining experience to try to explain to them, to try to get them to hear you when it comes to, how are we going to help Jack and Jill? You need to be on the same page with me. I need to be able to explain things to you. We need to be able to work on this together. And they absolutely refuse to do it. It can be so emotionally draining. So think about parallel parenting instead of co-parenting. Even though I know it might seem very cold at first, it really might be the best answer and the best solution for your situation. So now let's talk about the best ways to co-parent with a narcissistic ex regarding communication. Communication is very, very important. Now let's talk about some tools and some techniques that you can use when you are trying to co-parent or parallel parent with a narcissistic ex. The number one tool, this is going to be your best friend, the BIFF. BIFF. Your communications are going to be extremely important. Keep your communications inside of a parenting app. I suggest that you look into some in your area. Look at ones that are user-friendly and that are affordable. I highly suggest looking into Our Family Wizard. They have phenomenal platforms. They have a way for you to communicate in there and for the communication to be checked for tone when the narcissistic ex is basically going to be sending anything threatening or anything demeaning. But everything is saved in that app. So I highly suggest wherever it is that you have your communications, whether it's email or text, hopefully through a parenting app, regardless, keep in mind BIFF, B-I-F-F. All of the communications, brief, to the point. You need to keep it short and brief. You don't need to be long-winded about it. You don't need to have explanations about it. Brief. Jack and Jill have a party at 12 o'clock at this location. They need to be dropped off with their gift and picked up at 2 o'clock. Whatever it is, brief, to the point, and factual. Informative. It's to inform the other person. You don't need to go on a narrative about why something happened or why you're dropping the kids off at this party. It's just for information. That's it. For informational purposes, here's the address. This is the time. Now you're out. You kept it brief and you gave them the information. That's it. Friendly. It doesn't mean that you have to go sending heart emojis. It doesn't mean that you have to be overly friendly. But what it does mean is that you do not want to have any sort of tone that's going to ramp up or escalate any anger or frustration. Or if you know, and I'm confident that you do, if you know what buttons to push for this narcissist, even if you're angry, even if you're mad, even if you're upset, and even if they deserve it, and many times they might, do not push the buttons. Keep everything in a friendly tone when you are writing your communications to them. Just remember, if there ever comes a time that you're going to litigate this matter, anything that you write can be brought in as evidence. So you want to keep it as friendly as possible and keep it firm. The last step is firm. You don't want it to be, okay, well, if you want to pick them up, maybe I can come at a different time. Or no, firm. Here's the guidelines. Here's the boundary. This is what we're doing. That's it. B-I-F-F. Brief, informative, friendly, yet firm. So let's give an example. An emotional response might be, why are you always late? The kids are so disappointed again. That's probably true, but that response is going to just entice the narcissistic ex to try to fight. Instead, let's try the BIFF response. The parenting agreement states pickup is at 4 p.m. Please confirm future compliance. Right there, it's boring. Okay, so it's boring. There's no emotion. You don't want it to be overly emotional. There's no blame and there's no bait. You're not trying to fight them. You're not trying to entice them to fight with you. It is factual, it is to the point, and that's it. I highly encourage you to have all of the communications written, and if at all possible, use a family parenting app like Our Family Wizard. It really can help you when you are co-parenting with a narcissistic ex. So let's talk about supporting your kids. That is really important because your children are going to know that they're part of you and they're part of your ex, and you don't want them to feel like they're in the middle. You don't want them to feel like there's something wrong with them, like they're doing something wrong, because they're going to get enough of that from the ex. So make sure that what you're doing is keeping them at the center, again, without letting someone cross over your boundaries. But when you're with your children, you want to make sure that you're giving them as much support and encouragement as possible when they're with you. Your children need to feel safe and they need to feel loved by both parents. But you cannot control what happens in the narcissistic ex, their household. You can only control what happens in your household. So how is it that you can be open and honest with your children without feeding into that toxicity? Here's an example. I know that things are so different between me and your dad, but just know that you are both loved so much. Something along those lines acknowledges and validates their understanding and their feelings that, yeah, something's changed. Something has shifted. Do not pretend that things are the same, because they're not. Do not pretend that things are okay, because they're not. But you don't have to blame. You can say, yes, things are different, but you are loved. You are safe. You want to make sure that your children know that they feel loved and that they feel safe, and that you're telling them that. If there's anything you need to tell me, I'm here. You're not going to be trying to pry things out of them. You're not going to be asking them for more to try to elicit what's going on over at your ex's house. And you're certainly not going to be flying off the handle or overreacting when, not if, when they tell you something that happened at the ex's house that maybe you're very upset about, that the ex said something that's bound to happen. I'm just letting you know. That's the truth. You want to make sure that your children know that you're a safe space to come to and that they can open up to you about anything. Maybe you can say to them, it's okay that things are different. I'm here. I'm here to listen. If there's anything that you want to talk to me about, please let me know. I will listen. Kids need to hear that. Sometimes you're just doing a million different things between work and taking care of the children and trying to take care of yourself. It's very, very overwhelming. And sometimes it might feel like of course the kids know. Of course my children know that they can come and speak to me. Maybe they need to hear that because they see you so hurried and trying to do a million different things that they think, I'm not going to bother mom right now. I don't want to take the time out and be the burden. So you need to set that time aside to let them know, I'm here for you and I want to speak to you and I want you to speak openly and freely with me. You can always validate their emotions without vilifying your ex. Your children need a stable person in their life. You can be that stable parent that they know they can always come to. Please know, if no one has told you lately, you are doing the hard work. You're doing an incredible job. You're breaking cycles. You're setting boundaries. You're making sure that your children are seeing you as a strong role model and that they know that you can be compassionate and still have boundaries. That is showing them and demonstrating to them what strength really looks like. If you found any of this helpful, please like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment and let us know what co-parenting issues have you endured, have you experienced with your high conflict ex. And please remember, you don't need their cooperation to create your peace. You just need a strategy that works for you.